Last month, I sat across from my Norwegian friend Eric at a cafe in Oslo. He ordered a $9 coffee without flinching. I winced, because back home in Chicago, I'd mentally calculate, that's almost my monthly Spotify subscription. But then Eric said something that made my brain short-circuit. I haven't thought about money in maybe 3 years? Not because he's rich. He's a teacher. Makes about $62,000 a year. But here's the thing that kept me up at night. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you the exact dollar amount an average American family pays each year for things that Eric's taxes simply erase. And when you see that number, the one I'll reveal at the very end, you're going to do what I did. Pull out your bank statements and start adding. Because we've been lied to about what expensive actually means. Here's my bias up front. I grew up believing the American system worked. You work hard, you keep your taxes low, you get ahead. That's the gospel, right? I thought Norway was this socialist experiment where people hand over half their paycheck and live in depressing gray apartments, eating fermented fish to cope with the darkness. But then I started doing the math. Not the surface-level, income tax percentage math that pundits throw around on cable news. The real math. The stuff that comes out of your bank account every single month that you've been conditioned to accept as just part of life. And that's when I realized, Americans don't have a low tax problem. We have a hidden cost epidemic. The American dream isn't dying because we're lazy or unlucky. It's dying because we're drowning in microtransactions we don't even see anymore. And listen, if you want to see exactly how deep this goes, smash that like button right now. Because what I'm about to show you is going to fundamentally change how you see your bank account. Let's get into it. Hidden cost number 1, the healthcare scam. Let's start with the obvious one, but I promise, even here, the rabbit hole goes deeper than you think. Eric doesn't have health insurance. Not because he can't afford it. Because it doesn't exist in Norway the way we know it. No premiums. No deductibles. No copays. No out-of-network nightmares. No fighting with a claims adjuster named Todd who's paid to deny your MRI. In America, the average family pays $1,800 per month in premiums alone. That's $21,600 a year before you even walk into a doctor's office. Then you hit your deductible, let's say $5,000. Then your coinsurance kicks in. God forbid you need an ambulance. That's another $2,500 on average, and it's rarely covered. I had a friend in Denver who broke his ankle playing basketball. His total bill after insurance? $8,300. For a broken ankle. Eric broke his wrist skiing last year. His total cost? $25. For the parking. But here's where it gets even more insidious. Defensive living costs. How many Americans do you know who stay in jobs they hate because they can't lose their health insurance? How many people don't start that business, don't travel, don't take that creative risk, because they're terrified of being uninsured? That's not a financial cost. That's a life cost. And we've normalized it. Running total for the average American family, $26,600 per year. Hidden cost number 2, childcare, the silent bankruptcy. Okay, so you're thinking, yeah, healthcare sucks here. Tell me something I don't know. But here's where it gets weird. Eric and his wife had their second kid 2 years ago. In America, that would have triggered a financial panic. Daycare in the US averages $1,500 per month per child. For 2 kids? That's $36,000 a year. More than most people pay for rent. In Norway, Eric pays $350 per month. Total. For both kids. The government subsidizes the rest. But wait, it gets better. Or worse, depending on how you want to feel about your life choices. When Eric's wife had their baby, she took 49 weeks of paid parental leave. Not paid, like, we'll give you 60% of your salary and hope you have savings. Paid like 80 to 100% of her full salary. Eric took 15 weeks himself. In America, the average parental leave is 0 weeks paid. If you're lucky, your company offers 6 weeks at partial pay, and you spend the entire time anxious about your job security. So let's do the math. Childcare for 2 kids in the US, $36,000 per year. Lost income from unpaid leave, conservatively, $15,000, if you take 12 weeks off at $60,000 per year salary. Running total, $77,600 per year. Look, I'm not making these videos to dunk on America. I love this country. But I'm obsessed with one question. Where does the American dream actually live today? Because if you're working 2 jobs, skipping doctor's appointments, and can't afford to have a kid without going into debt, that's not a dream. That's a hamster wheel with a mortgage. If you're on this journey with me, if you're tired of being gaslit into thinking $2,000 per month for a family health plan is normal, do me a favor, subscribe to Nexora right now and turn on that notification bell. Because we're building a community of people who refuse to accept broken systems as just the way it is. And here's the thing, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these hidden costs hits you the hardest. Is it healthcare? Student loans? Childcare? Because your stories fuel these investigations. Let's talk about it. Hidden cost number 3, college debt, the 20-year sentence. Erik's daughter is 19. She's in her 2nd year at the University of Oslo, studying marine biology. Her tuition? $0. Not low. Not subsidized. $0. In America, the average cost of a 4-year degree is $104,000. If you go to a private school, $223,000. But here's the part that makes my blood boil. It's not just the tuition. It's the interest. The average student loan debt is $37,000, but by the time you pay it off, usually over 20 years, you've paid $66,000 because of interest. So you're not just buying an education. You're buying an education and funding a for-profit loan industry that bets on your desperation. Erik's daughter will graduate with 0 debt. She'll start her career at 0. Meanwhile, my cousin in Michigan is 34 years old, still paying off loans from a degree she's not even using, and she's delayed buying a house, getting married, having kids, because she's shackled to Sally Mae. Let's be conservative and say the average American family has 1 kid who goes to college. If you're helping them pay, and most parents do, you're looking at $5,200 per year over 20 years. If you're paying off that $104,000. Running total, $82,800 per year. Hidden cost number 4, transportation, the forced purchase. Alright, here's where the Norway comparison gets really uncomfortable. In Oslo, Erik doesn't own a car. Not because he's broke. Because he doesn't need one. The public transit system is so efficient, so clean, so reliable, that owning a car feels like buying a horse in 2025. Like, why would you? In America, not owning a car is a class marker. It means you're struggling. Because our cities are designed around cars. You need one to get to work, to buy groceries, to exist. The average cost of owning a car in the US, factoring in the loan, insurance, gas, maintenance, parking, is $12,000 per year. Most families have 2 cars. That's $24,000 per year. But here's the hidden cost within the cost, time. Americans spend an average of 54 minutes per day commuting. That's 4.5 hours per week. 234 hours per year. That's almost 10 full days of your life, every year, sitting in traffic. Erik's commute? 18 minutes. On a train. Where he reads, listens to podcasts, or just stares out the window like a human being. What's your time worth? If you make $60,000 per year, that's roughly $29 per hour. So you're losing $6,786 per year in unpaid commute time. But more than that, you're losing your life. Running total, $113,586 per year. Hidden cost number 5. Retirement insecurity. The anxiety tax. Here's something that keeps Americans up at night. Will I have enough to retire? Erik doesn't think about this. Not because he's reckless, but because Norway has a mandatory public pension system that actually works. Every Norwegian gets a pension that's 66% of their average lifetime income. It's not lavish, but it's guaranteed. In America, we've been sold the 401k myth. Just invest 15% of your income for 40 years and hope the market doesn't crash the year you retire. The average American has $141,542 saved for retirement. Sounds okay, until you realize that'll last you about 7 years if you're spending modestly. So what do? We panic save. We overcontribute. We hire financial advisors who charge 1% fees. We stress. Let's say the average American is trying to save $500 per month to catch up. That's $6,000 per year. But here's the real cost, the anxiety tax. The mental load of knowing that one medical emergency, one bad investment, one more decade of inflation could wipe you out. Eric sleeps well. Do you? Running total, $119,586 per year. Hidden costs #6-10. The death by 1,000 cuts. Let me rapid fire the rest because they add up. Number 6. Prescription drugs. Eric pays $30 per year for prescriptions. The average American pays $1,300 per year. Insulin costs $8 in Norway. In the US? $300 per month. Number 7. Higher education for life. In Norway, adult education and retraining programs are free. In America, if you want to pivot careers, you're paying out of pocket, average $2,000 per year for certifications or community college courses. Number 8. Elder care. Eric's mom is 78. She lives in a state-subsidized nursing home. Cost to the family? $1,200 per year. In America, nursing homes average $108,000 per year. Most families are forced to drain their parents' and their own savings. Number 9. Emergency savings buffer. Because of all these unpredictable costs, Americans are told to keep 6 months of expenses in savings. That's dead money, cash that could be invested or used for quality of life, but instead sits in a 0.5% interest account, just in case. Opportunity cost? Conservatively, $3,000 per year in lost investment gains. Number 10. The mental health cost of financial stress. Americans report higher rates of anxiety, depression, and stress-related illness tied to financial insecurity. Therapy costs $200 per session. Let's say you go once a month because you're freaking out about money. That's $2,400 per year. New total, $235,286 per year. Now you're thinking, okay, but Norwegians pay like 40% in taxes. That's insane. Let's do the math. Eric makes $62,000 per year. After taxes, he takes home about $43,000. An American making $62,000 pays about 22% effective tax rate, federal plus state plus FICA. Take home, $48,360. So the American takes home $5,360 more per year. But remember that running total? $235,286 in hidden costs. Even if we're extremely generous and say the average family only faces half of these costs, because not everyone has kids or a car or student loans, that's still $117,643 per year. The American making $62,000 takes home $48,360 and spends $117,643 on things Eric doesn't pay for. Eric takes home $43,000 and spends maybe $10,000 on rent, food, and discretionary stuff because everything else is covered. Who's actually wealthier? If this is blowing your mind right now, hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to see it. Seriously, send this to that friend who's always complaining about their health insurance premiums. They need to know they're not crazy. Remember that number I promised you at the beginning? The one that would make you pull out your bank statements? Here it is. The average American family pays $117,643 per year on hidden costs that Norwegians don't deal with. Even if your income is higher, even if you're doing fine, ask yourself, how much of your life is spent managing risk, chasing security, and sacrificing dreams because of financial fear? Eric doesn't think about money. Not because he has more of it, but because his system removed the fear. I'm not saying Norway is perfect. I'm not saying you should move there tomorrow. But I am saying this. We've been conditioned to accept a broken system as normal. The American dream isn't dead, but it's on life support. And the bill for that life support is bankrupting us. If this video made you angry, good. If it made you curious, even better. Here's what I need you to do. 1. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button and join the over 100 people in the Nexora community who are done accepting the status quo. 2. Drop a comment below. Tell me, what hidden cost shocked you the most? And what's one thing you think we could change in America to fix this? I read every single comment, and your insights shape the next videos. 3. Share this video. I know, YouTubers always say this. But here's why it matters. Every person who sees this is one more person who can't be gaslit by the low taxes equals freedom myth anymore. Send it to your group chat. Post it on your socials. Let's start a real conversation. Because the first step to fixing a problem is admitting it exists. I'm Nexora, and I'll see you in the next one.